I almost gave up trying to get her to my place without it being my idea. I wanted her to feel like it was her idea. That way, she was accountable for whatever was to happen. But she wasn't catching any of my baits. I tried. I really, really tried. I was a step closer to spelling it out. Ma'am, please ask me to ask you to come over. I'm not sure if they went over her head or she also had my strategy. Just the other way around. My goal almost seemed impossible with all my uncaught baits until that day she told me she'd be moving to a flat a few blocks from mine. That was it. That was my moment to attack. If I didn't capitalize on that moment, then I might as well have given up this whole charade. It wasn't fun for me anyway, but I had to focus on the main goal here. If I could survive the past few months of making this about her, then I could go on a few more weeks until she moved here. I must admit, I never anticipated it being this hard. When I first started with this, I thought it was going to be fun. I love women. I live to put them on the thrones that they belong on. But man, this was a challenge. I guess because I couldn't see Bulani past her being the enemy. She was the girl that collapsed my world, and I was not going to rest until I proved to Lumka how this bitch really wasn't the one for her. How this really started is actually so sick. I thought we were perfect, Lumka and I. It was our first year in varsity, but we'd been dating ever since we were in grade 9. We went to the same high school and followed each other to varsity. High school sweethearts. We were inseparable. Not even our parents, no matter how hard they tried, could get in between us. We were each other's everything. I didn't have friends that weren't hers and vice versa. It was perfect. Perfect until this bitch. Lumka and I never had major third-party issues until Bulani. Bulani was the nightmare I never dreamt of. It wasn't the way that Lumka looked at her that eeked me. The first and last time she gave me that look was when we first laid. I didn't know that look was possible outside of first-time sex. One morning, Lumka woke up in a frisky mood. Ooh, my kryptonite. This was the Lumka that won my heart from day one and kept winning it. Her wild side. I've engaged sexually with quite a few women in my life, I won't lie, but Lumka was different. You'd think after so many years of being together, the sex wouldn't be that magical anymore, but not here. It was as if I made love to a different woman every time. Each time I thought I knew where we were going, she changed gears, bruh. Always an experience. She whispered in my ear. I knew that tone. It only meant one thing. Tell me more. I said. We were still in a position that we woke up in, me spooning her. She was so tiny her entire body could fit perfectly into mine. She put her tiny hand on my hand, which was already caressing her nipple from the minute I felt that tone. She slowly let it down her torso, then into her panties. What dreams are made of. Waterfall. I instantly got wet. I wanted to be inside her already, but she pulled my hand as I was just about to slide it in. You never asked me what the dream was about, she said. I thought this was her telling me the dream. Tell me about your dream, Ma. I asked. She got up and sat on me like she was about to ride me like a cowboy. I loved her rides. They displayed a different side of her, the side she couldn't hide from this position because she'd be in my direct sight. I literally get to watch her pleasure herself with me from start to finish. Every frame and every stroke, every eye roll and every moan. Well, I'd rather show you. But on one condition, okay? We role play. You call me Lou, and I call you P. I could question this, but I'd rather not mess up the mood. It was too good to end now. You know, P for puppy. She clarified, but I really didn't care, man. I just wanted the dream. I was so hot for her. I tried to get up, hold her legs that were already around my waist, and flip her over so I could be in charge of this situation. I just wanted to be in there, man. She pushed me back before we could flip. This woman in charge was turning me the fuck on. I want you, baby. I said, Lou, call me Lou. She responded adamantly. Damn, this girl was taking this shit serious. I want you, Lou. I quickly corrected myself. She laid on me, her breasts on mine and her head on my side, with her mouth directly to my ear, and then whispered, Oh, P, you don't know how much I've always wanted to hear you say that. Now, that was really confusing, I won't lie. But before I could even digest it, her tongue was already in my ear. Ooh. My hands on her ass while her tiny body was busy stroking on mine. Choke me, she said, but I thought I hit my head a little because there was no way she was asking me to choke her. She'd never asked that of me before, but fuck, that got me even more moist. I stretched up my right hand to grab her tiny neck. She held my forearm firmly with both her hands, let out a cute moan and pleaded, Tighter. I tightened my grip around her neck as my lady commanded, all along still riding me. Few strokes in and she pleaded again. Tighter, baby. Fuck. At this point I was transitioning with her. I tightened my grip again and it was as if I was enabling her even more. She stroked faster and harder. I was hearing her moans from far away because I was also in my own world. But I could still hear her calling me P a lot until she eventually came. Then she got up and went to shower. I was mind blown. I was confused. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't come and she knew that. But it was as if she didn't care. As if this was just about her and I was just an accessory. I mean, I don't mind at all being used in that way, but fuck, let a bitch not, damn it. About 3 months after that glorious morning, I bumped into a senior who was trying to be my friend. She tried so hard and it was really sad seeing her from that light because she was really a cool chick when she wasn't trying so hard for me. But I did try to give her my friendship. It just wasn't as she expected it, I guess. She came running towards me like she usually does when she spots me. We were both heading towards the library, so we ended up walking together. She kept telling me stories about her friends like she usually does, and of course I wasn't paying mind to her like I usually do, until she mentioned one, Bulani. And to quote her exactly, and my other girl Bulani, but we all call her P, you know. I know this might all be a brilliant coincidence by the universe, but I was too much of an overthinker to let this one go. I didn't know exactly how I was going to ask Lumka about this or even handle it. I wanted to be smart about it though. Of course, if it was true, she wasn't going to give me the truth just like that. It wasn't until later that week, Lumka and I were just having a random conversation and we landed on our celebrity crushes. It started with her telling me that if Queen Latifah hits on her, she's a gone girl. We laughed about it. I mentioned my celebrity crush, same reaction. Lumka upped the stakes and asked about the crushes from high school. This round was just a little uncomfortable, I guess because those were the people we had access to, and the dots that were connecting were not cute. At this point, it seemed like we both had nothing to lose, so I asked her about her campus crush. You see that girl in third year? The one who's always in braids and track pants. I think she's hot as fuck. Shit. Haven't you noticed? My heart dropped. I'd never not seen Bulani without braids, but this wasn't enough evidence. There was no way Lumka was confirming my suspicions. Braids? Which one is that? I tried to pry some more and man, I shouldn't have. I think her name is Bulani or something, she said, and I quickly interrupted her. You mean P? She froze for a second, then quickly collected herself. I saw that. She was trying so hard not to flinch. Oh yeah? Is that what they call her? She said that while getting up. I'm going to make coffee. Would you like some? This was the classic Lumka. She always did this whenever she was cornered. It pissed me the fuck off because it was obvious. It was obvious every time, and she didn't even bother upping her game. I didn't respond. She didn't wait for me to. All this time, my eyes were following her in anger until she closed the door behind her, leaving me alone in the room we both shared. I couldn't believe it. The whole time she was gone, all that was replaying in my head were her moans from that morning. Yes. Yes. Right there. Yes. Okay. Right there. Okay. Right there. Right there. Fuck! It didn't help that she gave me 2 whole fucking hours to think, overthink, and overthink my over fucking thinking. 2 hours later, she walked in, no coffee in hand. Not that I was expecting her to come back with it, because all she had to do outside was fetch water with the kettle and come back. Plus, no coffee takes 2 hours to make. We'd never been faced with such a situation before, so I wasn't sure how to handle it. I was more angry than anything else because that shit she pulled was sick. How dare she made me live out her fantasies of another woman. The minute she walked in, I could see the guilt in her eye. She didn't say anything. She couldn't even look me in the eye. We will not speak of Bulani again. You will not look at her. You will not think about her. You will avoid her by all means. Yes, baby, I promise. She responded, bursting into tears already and burying her face on my shoulder. My poor baby. I thought in my head, I love you so much. She said, but I didn't respond. I mean, of course I loved her, and I was feeling it then more than ever, but I didn't have it in me to say it with my mouth. I just held her and comforted her. I'm not sure what was going on in my head. I held her till we both passed out and woke up the next morning in the same position. I forgave her, surprisingly. It was as if nothing happened, and I was happy to pretend like it didn't. Then one day, too soon, Lumka and I were walking to the mass kitchen for supper when we bumped into Bulani and her friend. I'm not sure about Lumka, but I'd never seen Bulani ever since Lumka and I fought about her. I mean, we didn't really fight, but you catch my drift, right? I got a mini panic attack because I wasn't sure how Lumka was gonna act. There are some things you might not say with your mouth, but body language never lies. They both came towards us, but the friend was walking faster, like she couldn't wait to get to us. I held Lumka's hand. I don't know why. My body just reacted. I realized I was staring at Bulani for too long while she walked towards us that I didn't even hear her friend greet. Upon my realization, I quickly moved my eyes from her to Lumka. My girl. Her eyes were different. They had a familiar feel to them, but it wasn't me they were looking at. As soon as she realized I was looking at her, she faced down. I won't lie, that got me weak. I felt so defeated. She couldn't even hide it. She wasn't even her type, man. No drop of masculinity in her. Skinny as hell. Everything Lumka was not attracted to. Or at least that's what I've known ever since I've known her. It was then that it hit me. This wasn't just a crush. It was deeper than a crush. And if I didn't eliminate this force, I was gonna lose my girl to this mediocre of a human. I guess that's when this whole plan came about. I fucked Bulani. Lumka stops being attracted to her, then we're back to normal. Maybe not normal, but it will be me again, the only one that she desires. The plan was going well so far. Cringy, but well. I'd lost count on how many nudes Bulani sent me. At this point, she was begging me to fuck her indirectly. The nudes never really moved me. They were too perfect, too desperate. But this was exactly where I needed her, eating from my palm. She finally came through to my place. Lumka went to visit her parents that weekend, so I was home alone. We were in final year, even moved out of rest and moved in together. Rest was too strict for us, I guess, and we felt like adults now. The move was inevitable anyway. From the minute Bulani came through, I could tell how nervous she was. I was almost sad I was doing this to her, but we were both already in too deep in this. I offered to run her a bath. It was obvious from her fresh face that she had just taken one, but I didn't know how else to give her time to calm down. Luckily, she was a good sport and took my offer. I didn't know how the night was going to play out. I couldn't create a plan in my head, and I'm usually smooth at these things, so this wasn't my proudest moment. I played a series I'd been watching before she got there. No one can really resist TV, right? Luckily, my TV was in the bedroom, so this was convenient for the situation at hand. She came back into the bedroom from the bath in really short shorts. Like really, really short. This girl was brave. She was making it so easy for me, yet even so hard because I couldn't get myself to do it. I don't drink much at all, but I had bought some wine. I didn't know which she drank, but Lumka always bought this one, so I thought that was the correct one. Plus, I knew Pulani enjoyed wine. Every time she'd send me nudes, it would be when she'd been drinking it. I drank the wine too. I needed not to be in my sober mind. I'd been faithful to Lumka from day one, so of course I felt shitty. I honestly didn't want to do this, but it had to be done. Now, I have a very strict rule. I do not let anyone touch me unless I really love you like that. So it was with no doubt going to be one way. Besides, Bulani was a straight girl. This was just an experience for her. But as much as this was just an experience for her, for me it was more of a challenge to make her first memorable. Besides, I never leave a bad taste in the mouths of those I encounter, even if they are Bulani. I'm a gentle king like that. After I kissed her, everything flowed. I didn't think about my next step anymore. The alcohol had taken over. I was even starting to have fun. And the second I touched her there, I knew it was game over for me. That juice that drives me crazy, those other lips that were kissing and sucking on my fingers, I was home. This was home. Her moans were getting in my head. This girl was feeling me so much that it weakened me. The more she wanted me, the more of me I wanted to give her. She begged me for me. Lumka hadn't done that in years now. It felt so good to be wanted, to be needed so bad. She begged me not to stop and I didn't stop. She kept begging like I was about to stop, but I kept going harder and faster until it screamed so uncontrollably, I wasn't in charge of the motion anymore. Something in me switched. She seemed so vulnerable and I just wanted to protect her from anything or anyone that might want to harm her. Lumka would have never coped with this girl. They were the same. I was basically making love to a taller version of Lumka. I held her so tight afterwards that if it were any tighter, I'd break her. And like Lumka, she just vanished in my arms because she was so petite. Little bird. I couldn't stop asking her if she was okay after that vulnerable moment because wow, that was vulnerability in its purest form. I just didn't want anyone to experience her in that state ever again, except me. I just know that no one could protect her like I could, because only I saw that in her. So the initial plan was to let Lumka catch us red-handed since she was coming back the next day. But I made sure that Bulani bathed as early as we got up because the plan was changed. The mind had changed and the heart had changed. When Lumka called to tell me she was on her way, I panicked. I hadn't thought about how I was going to get Bulani out of the flat before Lumka got there. Luckily, she was done bathing. I just needed her to get dressed and leave. I started kissing her. It was obvious now she enjoyed my kisses. I thought I could soften the punch before throwing it. But even when kissing her, I couldn't find the right words. It just came out of me. You need to go. Shit. It didn't sound that bad in my head, you know. I didn't have to look at her to tell how furious she got. I just went to the kitchen. I honestly didn't know what to say, and I felt like if I continued speaking, I might have worsened the situation. She left gracefully, like the princess she is. I felt so bad at how I handled the situation, but the alternative was going to be worse. Lumka's wrath was going to be her end, and I couldn't have that. I was responsible for her now, even if from far.